We are live in 30 seconds. We are coming to VTB for the opening titles, then studio.
Good luck, anchors. It'll be great. Good luck, cams, as
15
well.
seconds.
Cool. Can we get VTB online?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Tonight on Metronews, we look at Riverside 1 year on. The Sea to Sky duathlon takes competitors to new heights. And we head to the rink to see why roller derby is growing in popularity.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to Metro News, brought to you by the New Zealand Broadcasting School. 1 year on from opening, and Riverside Market is the new hotspot for Cantabrians in the central city. As Emma Olsen reports, the first 12 months have gone even better than the owners could have imagined.
Open 7 days a week and filled with boutiques, restaurants, cafes and bars, Riverside is exceeding expectations.
Well, we're thrilled. It's been an amazing year. I think we never were sure when we started what it was going to be like and how the public would respond, but it's been incredible, really.
Making Riverside happen wasn't all that easy. The initial project got turned down 4 times before the owners got the consent to build. But as most of the Christchurch residents know by now, it's an absolute hit.
It can be a real food destination, and I'm pleased that we're part of that, and that I want to show more of what Canterbury has and sort of learn all about these amazing people doing cool stuff.
It's been great for business owners too.
I love the market because atmosphere here, it's like a bustling people and bring people coming in.
The reason I like this place is probably the people around us.
One of the main concerns at the start was having enough car parking for visitors.
We now have the car park right next door, the asphalt car park, which since we opened has been sealed and opened, so there's more car parking right on the doorstep.
Pre-COVID, the foot traffic was averaging 10,000 people a day. After lockdown it dropped by a third, but now on a busy weekend up to 25,000 people stop by.
Since the Riverside Market opened, we saw more people coming in to check out the city, which is really awesome. We have seen that with every development opening, so it's quite an exciting time to be in the city.
The plan for the market is to keep evolving.
I think as a place we don't want it to be stagnant and stale. We want obviously the traders to do really well and bring a lot of activation and activity and life to the central city.
Whether you're wanting coffee or maybe Mexican, Riverside will be around for a long time to come. Emma Olsen, Metro News.
September marks the 10th year of the quakes, and at the Arts Centre they're still shifting stones to complete restoration efforts. As Digby Worthmiller reports, stonemasons are chipping away at the massive job.
From rubble to beauty, the Arts Centre has slowly pieced itself together again over the course of a decade. 40 stonemasons from all over the world have helped reconstruct these heritage-listed buildings.
So we're trying to source people locally. It's quite hard, but that's why we're trying to train people. We've got one apprentice that's just come out of his time, a local lad from Christchurch, and Kai here is more or less halfway through his apprenticeship, and he's doing great guns, yeah.
And sourcing local also means using Oamaru stone.
You could carve it quite easily.
Yeah.
It's quite durable. It does last if it's the right bed of stone and it's put in properly, yeah.
The Arts Centre comprises of 23 buildings, 22 of which were badly damaged in the 2010 and 2011 earthquakes. Work on 2/3 of the buildings have already been completed, but for now it's all chisel in hand to get the rest of it done.
They've been one of the biggest buyers of Welsh slate tiles in the world. It's work they're proud to be involved with.
It's good to be on a project this size and to actually put something back into Christchurch, because with all the new buildings that have gone up around the city, I think it's important to keep something that's old and something that people of Christchurch can come and views and enjoy the Art Centre, because it will be here for a long time.
In 2010, the Arts Centre was severely underinsured, and the director at the time increased the cover.
And mercifully, that insurance was put in place before the huge earthquake of February 2011. Without that, the Arts Centre wouldn't exist today.
He's hoping for funds from the Shovel Ready scheme.
The government are talking about announcing things there and have announced projects already. If we got that might facilitate the restoration of those buildings at the centre of the site.
If it doesn't get the appropriate funding, 2 of the unrestored heritage buildings will remain standing skeletons of the past. Digby Worthmoller, Metro News.
One woman is using innovation to overcome adversity, creating a world-first organic product. I went to see why New Zealanders are raving about this game-changing cheese.
Cheese, cheese, cheese. It comes in all kinds. From gooey mozzarella to potent parmesan. Kiwis have been enjoying this dairy-rich food for generations. But with the rise of veganism and people discovering new allergies, many are having to give it up. For them, Sarah Page has the answer. Cheese made from kumara.
These products are made to be authentic. They're not made to just vaguely satisfy some vegan's palate. I wanted to make something that tasted like cheese, had the mouthfeel of cheese, and this is what I appear to have succeeded because of the feedback that we're getting.
It came as a surprise to those tasting it that the cheese was free of animal milk.
That's so cool. I thought it was camembert.
Really? Seriously?
Oh, that's so good.
Wow.
Sarah says the point of difference with her cheese is that it's made with local, ethically sourced ingredients and is free of highly allergenic foods like nuts and soybeans.
So cashew nuts are not very ethical. The women that pick the cashew nuts, they get burnt skin and live with scars that last for the rest of their lives. I mean, it's really just not something that I wanted to work with.
Sarah makes a number of different plant-based cheeses which are currently sold across 5 different locations in New Zealand. These include the artisan tasty cheddars, aged cheddars, the organic tofu ricottas, and the most recent addition, the creamy kumara beer.
University student Alex Spurtle is lactose intolerant. She says how the ingredients are sourced are a big selling point for her.
I think it's just nice to know that it's ethically sourced, that it's all local, so supporting local and not big dairy brands, which is really cool.
Paige is expanding her cheese range and planning to distribute to more stores across the country and internationally. James Fleury, Metro News.
Coming up on Metro News, we check out a volunteer-run tree planting project. And the Sea to Sky Challenge takes competitors to new heights.
I'm living in London, have been for the last 6 years, and I'm working as a digital consultant. I was working in radio in New Zealand for about 4 years, and when I moved over I was just looking for a bit of a change of scene, and I started doing websites and web builds for medium-sized businesses. Ended up working for one of the big agencies, one of the kind of global agencies, and from there I've been moved into consulting as well. My work is genuinely around innovation. It's across all different industries, so I'm not doing one thing at any given time. Not just using technology innovatively, but thinking about, what's the strategy here? How can you use that to think about what people need and respond to those needs? I go out to client sites, so I get to travel all over the place. Could be in Zurich, or I could be working on an account in Berlin or somewhere for 6 months, or up in Scotland, but my home office is here in Canary Wharf. I finished my degree off campus as an executive student. It wasn't purely theoretical, there was a good amount of background and knowledge, but there was a lot of practical application. Learning how to interact with people and how workplaces work was actually a really big advantage.
Welcome back. Around 75 years ago, more than 1.5 million Jewish children died in the Holocaust. Now, Tauranga Library is hosting an exhibition to commemorate the lives lost. Reporter Nikki Carroll is covering the story and is with us now. Nikki.
The Holocaust Centre in Wellington has created a travelling memorial. It's interactive and informative, but without including details that would be considered too graphic for a younger audience. However, this does not make the exhibition any less compelling.
On display, 895 kilos of buttons, each one representing the life of a child who died in the World War II Holocaust. It's the idea of the principal of Moriah Jewish Day School. She decided her pupils needed something visual to help them understand the enormity. The aim? To collect 1.5 million buttons, one for each child who perished.
So over the space of about 2 to 3 years, the children wrote to people from all over the world. They asked their friends, their family if they would donate a button.
When the school closed in 2012, the buttons were entrusted to the centre. And 3 years ago, they began the process of creating the Children's Holocaust Memorial.
It starts off with a very small one which contains the first button, so that can represent any individual child, from Anne Frank to any other sort of child that was murdered in the Holocaust.
When the Holocaust Centre reached out to Christchurch to host the exhibition, Turanga leapt at the chance.
Well, libraries are about knowledge and access to information and to new ideas and to community conversations, and so we thought that was a really good fit for us.
People of all ages have visited the memorial, with many believing it's important every generation has an understanding of the tragedy.
We've been pleased with the response. We've got a visitor book here which has hundreds of entries from people who've been to see the exhibition.
Visitor David Cohen said he was too emotional to be filmed, but happy for his comments to be recorded.
Each and every individual needs to stand up and remember and do what they can to perpetuate the memory. It's vital. It would be a bit like forgetting about the mosque massacre here in town, and one must never forget.
The message? These events must be remembered so they don't happen again.
The organisers say that the exhibition presents a tough but vital lesson in taking a stand against discrimination and the violation of human rights. They want people to be upstanders, not bystanders. The memorial will be based in Christchurch for at least another week.
Thanks, Nikki. It's all about bringing back the birds. Volunteers are ditching the hustle and bustle of working life and switching to seeds and shovels. Nick James joins Canterbury's latest planting project.
Te Ara Kakariki have been planting for 10 years with the goal of bringing back native birds and wildlife to the Canterbury Plains.
We're creating these green dots through a landscape where we've just about lost all of our natural vegetation and natural habitats.
Ecologists are following a plan to create pathways for the birds.
Each one of these dots creates another stepping stone and adds to the 60 or so that we've got across the Selwyn District Canterbury Plains now, from the hills down to the lake, down to the ocean.
The owner of the land says he's already noticing more birds since planting started here 7 years ago.
Goldfinches are a lot here, and but I had a tui drink from my kaka beak just outside the window the other day, so I thought, yay, it's coming back slowly, yeah.
Planting over 1,000 trees will help the environment, but it's not the only benefit.
You'd be surprised how often we hear, oh, I've never actually been on a farm. So, oh, I didn't know farmers did that cool stuff. So it's actually giving people the opportunity to experience things they wouldn't in an urban environment in any subdivision.
The volunteers are enjoying their day.
It's a really cool project to try to connect each of these green patches.
I didn't quite have a major understanding of why we should do it until attending these events. So it's really educated me on why I should do it.
It's really great to kind of contribute to sustainability as a group and as a community.
More planting events are scheduled for September and October, so if you're free over the weekend in Otatahi, roll up your sleeves, get out your shovels and do your part for Papatūānuku. For Metronews, Nick James.
We think of New Zealand as a sporty nation, but after secondary school, a lot of students give it up. Sarah Anderson from University and Tertiary Sport New Zealand joins Emma in the studio to discuss this issue. Emma.
Thank you for coming in today, Sarah.
My pleasure.
Cool. So my first question is, what exactly is UTSNZ?
UTSNZ stands for University and Tertiary Sport New Zealand, and we're tasked with providing quality events to New Zealand tertiary students, whether that be as an athlete, as a student administrator, a coach, a manager or a volunteer. We also provide international pathways for students to perform on the international stage as well.
If you could put a figure on the participation numbers of young adults at university compared to high school students, what would that be?
We know that weekly participation at secondary school peaks around 90%, which is really good. For tertiary students, that drops to around 72%, which is still high, but there are some definite challenges that come in that life stage transition point.
Why do you think it is lower?
I think moving cities often comes with moving to a tertiary institution. You're away from your friends and family, you're establishing new peer groups. We also know secondary school sport has a really strong infrastructure, as does our university sport, but as a student you've got to look for it a little bit harder at university. And lastly, the motivations and barriers change a little bit for that older age group. So other commitments, so you've got part-time work as well as holding down academic studies in a social life. And some of the motivations become more about health and exercise, looking and feeling good. So it changes how and what they participate in.
Why do you think it's so important to stay active during university?
There's the obvious physical benefits and sporting performance benefits. If you're athlete-minded, there's also a lot of mental health benefits. So being prepared for learning, coping with stress. And a big one for our students is a sense of belonging and social connectedness. We know for international students in particular that integrating into a university life helps if they play sport and belong to a club.
I know a focal point from encouraging tertiary sport is to enhance Kiwis' employability. Why is this such a big focus?
For sure. So graduate employability. Our students are the workforce of the future. We know that industry is looking for a lot of those softer skills, so I'm talking things like time management, teamwork, communication skills, planning, and a lot of that can happen through sport. So we see that value as really important.
And with the International Day of University Sport on this Sunday, what is your organisation going to be doing?
Yes, so UNESCO have declared 20th of September as International Day for University Sport. We're working with our Student Athlete Commission, and there's activities running all across the country in our universities.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for that, Sarah.
Thanks, Emma. Coming up, we check out a mentoring group encouraging women to play rugby, and we put on our skates to see what roller derby is all about.
My name's Alistair Coburn. I'm the station producer for Classic FM. So we're in London, we've got 8 radio stations and 2 TV stations here. So I've been doing this job about 2 years. Got a phone call while I was in the middle of Europe saying you've got a job interview in London. Worked out quite well. London's the greatest city on earth, I think. There's so much to do here, it's just such a vibrant place. My first year in the UK, I think we saw about 10 different countries. 2 weeks ago we were in Wales, the week before that we were in Prague. It's really amazing. I mean, Classic FM, we've got 5.3 million listeners every week, so it's more than the entire New Zealand population. I'll be writing promos, writing trails, writing imaging, writing commercials as well. I got nominated for a Sony Radio Award for a promotional campaign which I worked on. The skills that I've got from my study, they really stand up. It taught me a lot about how the entire radio industry works, like from sales to production to on-air to writing. Once you're done, you've got the internship, you get straight into a job, and from there you're off. I mean, the world's your oyster, basically.
Welcome back. A local rugby club is mentoring young women as a way of encouraging them to play the sport. As Antoinette Spicer discovers, it's all about boosting player numbers across the region.
Nothing gets in the way when the Suburbs and Prebbleton under-16 women's team hit the field. Despite this, the girls still face many challenges playing the sport. These are just a few of them.
We're not strong, don't know how to play. Refs being not as easier on us than boys.
Not being taken as seriously as we want to be taken.
The Suburbs Rugby Club is determined to change this.
For women's rugby in general and the girls' rugby to be taken more seriously, we believe it's a great product and great rugby to watch, exciting and brutal and all the stuff that goes with a good game of rugby.
He started a mentoring group for the girls last year, organising training camps and lining up top women's rugby players to pave the way. The results are already showing.
And we've seen massive improvement in individuals' skill levels and the way that they play the game as a team. So it's been great, yeah.
Brought us together.
Yeah, it helped us learn about each other and mostly about rugby.
Bond friendships.
Jason says it's all about encouraging girls to give it a go and make good decisions.
They're just at that impressionable age and that as well, I guess, where they're looking at making important choices in their life. Sport is such a massive tool that they can use to gain sort of togetherness and that sort of thing with their peers.
In 2018, more than 1,300 women registered to play rugby across Canterbury, but officials would like to increase that, and in a couple of years they'd like to boost that number to 1,600.
Jason shares this goal and is calling on girls to give it a try. Antoinette Spicer, Metro News. The Sea to Sky race has been running in Christchurch since 2016, but this year's event has been the most challenging. The race was originally postponed because of COVID-19, but as Emma Olsen reports, 6 months down the track, it's all go again.
The Sea to Sky Challenge is back, but in a different form. COVID restrictions mean changes, and the mass start has gone.
The main one is keeping groups of less than 100 and keeping them completely separated through the days. So what that means is they will all be starting in a staggered start, so like 20 to 30 minutes between each group. It spreads everybody through the course.
Athletes will wear different coloured numbers to show which group they're in. Despite the changes, competitors will still have a very challenging event.
And they start off with a 2.5 kilometre run, then they've got a 17k bike, which isn't that far, but they have to bike up the top of the Port Hills, and then they run 7.5k's from Godley Head back to Sumner, which has got plenty of hills in it as well. So that's the first event.
There is a 17-kilometre run which has been added this year, as well as a junior race where the little ones get to wade through the water and do a short run. But there will be no lingering afterwards.
The downside is when people finish, then they kind of have to leave the site immediately, so there's no sort of prize giving or anything like that. So everybody's been really understanding and they're just happy to be having a race.
So what did the athletes think of the revamped Sea to Sky?
Oh, it was great, yeah, I've done it a few times before. It was nice that the organisers managed to do it at level 2 because a lot of things have been cancelled.
Everyone knew what to do with the COVID restrictions and things like that, so no, it was pretty easy.
An event that shows you can carry on competing and keep safe in spite of the COVID restrictions.
Belinda McCone, well done, Belinda.
Emma Olsen, Metro News.
Lockdown had us doing all sorts of weird and wacky things. Roller skating saw a surge in popularity and now many are taking their newfound hobby to the rink. Asha Abdi joins the action.
Don't die of heart disease, do derby.
And so many people are. Roller derby and skating have seen an unexpected resurgence over lockdown. Passionate skaters have posted their videos on sites like TikTok and Instagram.
I think I'd seen a few videos of people doing it on social media and I was like, oh, that's so cool that they're like adults and roller skating, so I kind of thought it was something little kids do.
Organiser and lifelong skater Laurie Razmataz Bruno has seen this change firsthand.
So yes, definitely an increase during and after lockdown. So during lockdown we had a lot of people asking where can I buy skate, where can I skate.
It's attracted Cantabrians from all walks of life for many different reasons. Some wanted an alternative to ice skating.
I always liked ice skating, but you have to go to like a ice skating rink and like pay the fee and everything. and like with lockdown and stuff, you can't really go.
While others just needed to release some extra energy.
My mother said, "Oh, this is a good idea. You have quite a bit of aggression in you. That's just waiting. I think you'd be real good at derby."
But the thrill of it all is what's keeping them on four wheels.
I like the adrenaline rush, and I like the artistic and thinking value that's in it.
Just the flow, the freedom.
They sold it to me. There was only one thing left. I had to try it myself. The Tertiary Roller Derby League have 3 teams that are all training for competitions in October, where they hope to roll their way to the top. Asha Abdi, Metro News.
And now to weather. Hepi Tema is meant to be springtime and the weather has come out to play. Today in the Garden City it was cloudy and fine with gusty northwesterlies. Looking ahead, the overnight low tonight will be Tahi Takari, and on Rapa we can expect another fine day with some light wind and a high of 18 degrees.
That's all for Metro News tonight.
For those stories and more, head to our website metronews.co.nz, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Join us again tomorrow night at 7. Call James Fleury aho.
Ko Antoinette Spicer aho.
Ka kite anō.